As soon as Jungsu slept, Jungkook took him to Wyan where she was sleeping. He was about to enter her room but saw her looking outside through the window while wind is playing with her hair and falling moonlight in her face, making her look eternal. But she is so engrossed in her thought that she didn't felt his presence behind her. Jungkook hesitated to put his hand on her shoulder, but fighting with his thought, he spoke. Jungkook, didn't you slept yet? Wyan turned to Jungkook, then looked at her son in his arms. She caresses Jungkook's hair lovingly, coming close to Jungkook. Wyan, did he trouble you? Jungkook shook his head as no, and speak Jungkook he didn't. While speaking, he noticed that the air is cold, that she is shivering a little. Jungkook, what you are doing in cold? Look, you are shivering. Wyan, it's fine. Jungkook, no, it's not. You will get sick on cold. You used to get sick in cold. Let me close the window, he said, approaching the window. Wyan, I used to get Jungkook, but now time has gone and I don't get sick in a little cold air. I get used of it. Jungkook hand stopped for a moment, but still. Jungkook, he was crying in dark, so I thought to make him sleep with you, give him your warmth. Wyan took Jungkook from Jungkook and went to bed and lay him down, and she also laid down beside him. Jungkook is about to leave the room when Wyan called him, saying, Wyan, sleep other side Jungkook. Jungkook, And he lay beside Jungkook, looking at the ceiling. He did hug Jungkook as Wyan is hugging him. Wyan, he wants us both, she said, shifting more Jungkook towards her warmth. Jungkook, he needed his both parents, but I think eventually after getting little older he will understand. Wyan hummed and didn't speak any further, and three of them sleep on the bed. Time skipped the morning. Mrs. John, we need to do something for them. Mr. John, what do you mean? Mrs. John, can't you see they love each other? They're just afraid to confess each other. Mr. John, so they are not kids. Mrs. John, cold, stupid, dumb, she mumbled. Mr. John, what? Did you say something? Mrs. John, no, I said we need to do something. Mr. John, and what will you do? Mrs. John, leave it on me, you just focus on your business. Mr. John, don't do anything which bring more distance between them. Mrs. John, yeah, I know. Now let me wake them up. And Mrs. John left to wake you all up, but when she reached, she saw Wyan is already up and drying her hair. Mrs. John, are you already up? I came to wake you up. Wyan turned to her and said, Wyan, sorry mom, I wake up late. Mrs. John, it's okay, it's not that I was working. They look pretty together, right? Wyan, she said, looking at the bed, making her turn and take a glance at them. Wyan looked for a good second, then answered, yes mom. Mrs. John, I have seen him happy after so long, Wyan. As a mother, I know you can understand, she said, smiling, but pain she held in her voice is visible to Wyan. Wyan, I'm sorry, Mom. Mrs. John, no, Wyan, it's not your fault. Maybe he deserved to be like this. He has been reserved, always away from the social life. He had always been reserved like this. Her voice sounded sad. Mrs. John, what I even started talking. Let's go, Wyan. Let's go, Wyan. Your tide must be waiting downstairs. Mrs. John left the room, turning twice to look at his son. Wyan watched it and felt very. Time skipped to everyone at the dinner table, everyone having their breakfast when Mrs. John asked, Mrs. John, when will Jungkook start his schooling? Jungkook, from next week, Mom. Mrs. John, oh, but Wyan? Jungkook, before he got busy on school, took him to a small picnic as he looked little disturbed. His mind will get fresh. Jungkook looked at Wyan, then he felt that Wyan isn't comfortable. Jungkook, no, Ryan cut him off by saying, Ryan, I'm also thinking the same, Mom. Okay, everyone agreed, then I will arrange it for you all. Jungsu, but no one asked me, Grandma. Everyone laughed a little. Mrs. John, okay, Mr. Jungsu, do you want to go picnic with your parents? Jungsu, yes, I'm ready. Everyone laughed and they had their breakfast while talking. Time skipped to holidays. Jungsu, Bri grandma, grandpa, Mrs. John kissed his cheek. Mrs. John, bye Jungsu, I love you. Jungsu, I love you too, grandma. Mr. John, Jungsu here, he said, extending him a chocolate. Jungsu snatched it hurriedly. Jungsu, thank you, Grandpa. I love you. Mr. John, hide it, or else your mama will snatch it from you. Ryan, what are you both talking? See, come, taking her purse, looking into her purse. Ryan looked at them with suspicion, and both of them gave her a sweet fake smile. Ryan, really, Dad, are you telling lie to me? Before Ryan can say something, Jungkook laugh echoed, which filled Ryan's ears. That she stared at Jungkook for a moment, then smiled at him. She saw him smiling after so long. Ryan got lost on his smile for a moment, her heart filled with joy, but not to let him notice his speak. Ryan, okay, this is the last time. I'm forgiving you, Dad, for giving him chocolate. And you, Jungsu, give it to me. I will give you after you reach. Jungsu, with sulky, pouty face, gave her the chocolate. Ryan also sat back as Jungsu is sitting in Jungkook's lap. He is very excited. Driver is sitting in front alone as Jungsu wants his both parents together all the time. After some time, Ryan slept on Jungkook's shoulder and Jungsu in his arm. Suddenly, the car took a jump, making them all to feel uncomfortable in their sleep. Jungkook, drive slow a little, Max. They are sleeping, he said, little scolding. Ryan smiled a little and stepped more close to him, holding his arms. Jungkook didn't show her smile, but he also smiled as Ryan hugged him tightly. He slid his hand on her waist and kissed her forehead and Jungsu's forehead. Jungkook in mind. Jungkook, don't go away from me, Ryan. Let's not get divorced. Let's stay like this forever. Don't leave me, please. I'm loving this feeling with you. I promise I will try to understand you and listen to you. I love you. Give me the last chance, please. He again kissed her head, and his tears fall on Jungsu's head. His hand around them tightened. He again kissed both of their heads.